One quick question.
Well, I've always believed that you're never too young or too old to make a difference. And then when I became a mom, I think I felt that even more keenly because all of a sudden I had, first Charlotte and then Aiden, these little people in the world, and I wanted the world to be a healthier, more equitable, more just, safer place for them than previous generations. And I think the more people who engage earlier in trying to build that world, whether first at home or through their schools, their community, or across the country, the better off we'll all be.
And then looking left right here, ladies. And let's get two of you over here.
Stay where you are and swivel. And then one. Stay where you are, but don't swivel.
There you go. Right here, ladies.
Ignore it.
So for most of my life, I ignored the bullying that didn't confront me directly. So when I would be confronted directly, like even as a child, when people would say like awful things to me, I would say, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, I don't feel that way. I don't think I'm ugly or born in sin or the family dog or that my parents should have aborted me or that like we all should be dead. I mean, these were all things that people said to me when I was a kid, and they were always said by like much older people. And I think because they were so vile, generally, it was just really clear to me that like that wasn't about me. Like I had never met this person until this person came up and said this awful thing to me. And then I just felt badly for them that kind of they thought it was ever okay to attack a kid. And as I got older, I always kind of had that posture of like, I'm sorry you feel this way, like responding with not weakness, but I hope kind of kindness and solidarity with someone I think was in a lot of pain. But I ignored what I could ignore. So like when Saturday Night Live made fun of me, I was like, oh, that's odd. I'm a 12-year-old kid. Like that I think is weird and wrong, but I'm not going to think about that again. Or when Rush Limbaugh attacked me on his radio show, I think, oh, well, why is this old white man attacking this kid? Like, I think that's weird, but I'm going to ignore that. And when I joined Twitter, I kind of had the same approach of like, oh, like, this is just sort of strange and bizarre. I'm going to ignore it. But over the last year and a half, I started to worry that kind of by ignoring it, it wasn't kind of depriving the trolls of oxygen. It was maybe taken as kind of implicit, not endorsement, but kind of that I was somehow okay with that language and that behavior. And I think, kind of particularly being a parent now, I never want my kids or any kid to think that that's okay. And so I can't respond to even like a small percentage of kind of what comes my way, but I do respond to what I might see in a moment, or if I'm getting kind of a similar attack over a day, I'll respond to one of them because it's sort of representative of what I'm hearing, because I do think we have to shine a light. And I do think even if you don't agree with me politically, it's never okay to attack me personally, in the same way like if I don't agree with you politically, it's never okay for me to attack you personally. And so I want my children to see their mom kind of standing up for kind of respect and kindness, and to know that that is not a sign of weakness. But I also want other kids to see that, because cyberbullying is a huge challenge across our country. So I think we need those of us with platforms to not ignore the trolls, not to become consumed by them, but to shine a light and say, here's how you can respond, where you're calmly defending yourself, but you're also showing it's not okay, and you're not degrading your own humanity in doing that. Well, I've opposed Judge Kavanaugh's nomination from the beginning because I worry about what his kind of history of jurisprudence says about how he could well vote on issues before the Supreme Court. And so this, for me, is something I've been kind of attuned to now kind of for many weeks, because I do worry about a woman's right to make whatever reproductive choices she thinks are right for herself and her family, kind of workers' rights to organize, protecting various environmental regulations, ensuring that kind of the integrity of science more broadly can be respected and also protected. So, all of these questions that are expected to come before the Supreme Court in the coming terms, were more than reason enough for me to oppose Judge Kavanaugh. But at the hearings last week, I think there were kind of more reasons. In his opening statement, he kind of channeled a conspiracy theory about my family, and I thought, oh goodness, like Judge Kavanaugh, I don't even think I knew who you were until you were nominated. So clearly, kind of we were looming larger in your mind than at least you were looming in mine. But even if he'd gone after a former Republican president or a current Republican senator or politician, I would feel the same way, that kind of blatant partisanship should be disqualifying, because that isn't what we historically have kind of wanted for the Supreme Court, and I think that is still what we should want for the Supreme Court in the future. And so I'm sure that stuck with me for kind of evident reasons, but kind of in the midst of other really important questions that are being asked, I hope that that is one that senators pay particular attention to as well.
I see with my own eyes the damage Donald Trump does when he talks about women